All right, everyone, welcome back to the Dead Pundits Society. Today is a bit of a different one. We just wanted to briefly address the breaking news coming out of Spain that Xabi Alonso has been released from his duties as Real Madrid manager. So, in the official statement, they talk about a mutual agreement, but that is normally code for a sacking, at least in my experience. But I'm kind of interested to hear your take on it, Jake. I mean, at least from my side, I'll just preface it. I'm quite shocked by this decision. But yeah, maybe you start us off and then we'll have a bit of a discussion about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is news that just broke a couple hours ago. It's absolutely mental, to be honest. I don't even know where to start. Um, Whether he's sacked or whether he left, either way, I think it's like insane. I'm curious to see what was the straw that broke the camel's back on either side. But I think last night, was El Clasico, obviously in the cup, and this moment that's obviously gone viral and will continue to go viral with this news was when he tried to get the squad and the team to congratulate Barca, and he was sort of overruled by the players. I mean, Mbappe in particular is the one that people are pointing out for refusing and telling the other players to not provide like give the guard of honor to the Barca players. Um, yeah, right now, I mean, the first thing I'll say is it seems like players are really running the dressing room. That's been sort of the claim about Real Madrid for a while now, but this really, for me, shows that it's a player-run club, and that if the players band together and decide they don't like you, it's over. I mean, to be honest, just seems like kind of an awful job to have as a manager, and yeah, that's my first takeaway.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. I think that was quite telling, especially when one of your big, if not your biggest star, is publicly against you. It's not a good sign. But honestly, I think it's super harsh. I think he was actually doing quite well. I just did a bit of research before recording this, but Real Madrid currently have 45 points out of a possible 57 in the La Liga, so they've only dropped 12 points, which is actually, I would say, pretty good. They are 4 points behind Barcelona, but Barcelona's really been quite good this season. Real Madrid also won the El Clasico in the league, so it's not like they've just been battered by Barcelona the whole time. They did have quite a poor showing, in my opinion, in the Club World Cup, where they lost 4-0 against PSG quite early on, I think, in the quarters, if I'm not mistaken. But I definitely thought that he had enough credit in the bank for finishing the season, if not maybe even having another one.
Yeah, I agree, but even more than that, I feel like they waited a whole year to get him, right? On a free. That was like a whole topic of the next Real Madrid manager and that they would wait to get him on a free because he wanted to do another season in the Bundesliga for Leverkusen. And then all of that just to sack him 6 months into his tenure, if we're assuming that he was sacked. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, he hasn't done a bad job, and yet, like as you said, they've only given him until January.
Yeah, it's a
At this
brutal
point,
job.
like, yeah, Real Madrid being themselves, I don't know. It's just like at this point, it's an extremely difficult or almost impossible club for what seems like all but a few managers like that have a very specific profile that meets what they want. And at this point, Xabi will do better literally anywhere else. I don't know. I don't mean to bash them too much, but
Yeah.
that's just really my takeaway.
No, but I think it's crazy though, because I thought when he was appointed, he kind of reminded me a bit of like a Zidane style appointment. So this younger manager, not as proven. And I think what Zidane did quite well, even though he didn't maybe have the managerial credentials, is that he was very good at managing the egos within the dressing room, right? Like he had Bale,
Yeah.
Ronaldo, Benzema, the midfielders as well, right? Sergio Ramos. So these really big egos obviously, Zidane needs no introduction as a player, but as a manager, it's hard to have that legitimacy, and I think he did that job really well. So I guess Xabi Alonso hasn't managed to have the same effect. I think what's interesting to discuss is two things as well. I mean, obviously, jump back in on the sacking if you'd like, but I'm curious to discuss where does Xabi Alonso go next, and where does Real Madrid go next as well after this?
Yeah, I mean, That's a good question, and that's one that I'm sure that Madrid fans are asking themselves because, to be honest and to speak frankly, like the manager market right now sucks. I mean, we discussed this in our last episode where we obviously talked about, Maresca and Emerim, and it's still true today. Like, there's just not many availabilities.
Hmm.
I know to answer where he goes next, I feel like if things continue to not go the way they planned with Arne Slot and Liverpool decide that they really do want to change, it's just the perfect like transition for him. I mean, he's worked with, a couple of the players in that squad already, like Frimpong and Verts. And Liverpool is the type of club that would, buy into his system. Yes, he may have like hypothetically could have issues with Salah, but Salah's probably leaving in summer anyways. Um, yeah, that's my first thought, but to be honest, I think he's gonna have the pick of the litter when it comes to where he wants to go.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Liverpool would be a great fit for him. They have a squad of young, dynamic players. I mean, obviously, there's another pretty big club that's probably going to look for a manager in Man United, but I can't really see him going to Man United given his Liverpool path.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be an interesting job for sure, I think, but I feel like Liverpool, at least from what I've read online, seem like they're going to depart from Slot no matter what at this point given the way the season's panned out. So that would potentially be a good replacement, I think. I mean, in his contract at Bayer Leverkusen, he had a clause that said that he could leave for either Real Madrid or Liverpool. Would be probably not the way he'd imagined it, but he might be managing both at quite a young age. But I think what's interesting as well is for Real Madrid, like where do they go next? You know, I saw that they just appointed Alvaro Arbeloa, who is the he was the youth team manager, and he was doing quite well. I think they're like fourth in the third division or something like that. And obviously, has a pre-existing relationship with some of the younger players that came through the academy, which could be helpful. I would be surprised if he gets a job on a permanent because he's not really this superstar manager. But I don't really
yeah,
know.
man.
I mean, there's not really a great
But
pool of managers, as we said.
and I'm sorry, like maybe Arbeloa is good, bro, but if the players aren't respecting Xabi Alonso as a manager, I'm not sure that Arbeloa will have the same the same sort of impact just on a, perception level. But anyways, I I agree with you there in terms of, where do they go from here? How do you patch this up? Some people I've seen online have been saying, oh, maybe they can bring in Zidane for the next 6 months, to like. But then again, we've talked about that explicitly on this show before, and I think I've always said that's like such a stopgap solution that's not long term. I mean, Zidane's made it very clear he doesn't want, that he wants to manage the national team going forward. Yeah, I genuinely don't know what the best option for Real Madrid is here. Like they're kind of shot themselves in the foot.
I mean, I think there's some options that are quite interesting. First, probably Jurgen Klopp. I think if there's one club that can coax him out of retirement, that's probably Real Madrid. Even though he doesn't have a history with always getting along with the board, and so I think with the Real Madrid board, it could be kind of tough, especially with how Perez runs things. I think potentially Thomas Tuchel. I mean, I said that for United as well, I think, but I don't think he'd be a bad fit for Real Madrid. I mean, Real Madrid sometimes they consider themselves also a very strong cup team, and Tuchel would definitely perform in the Champions League, having that track record with Chelsea. But I don't really know. Other than that, there's no one that really sticks out in my mind. I think it's really a period where there aren't that many top managers available, and Real Madrid is still at a level higher than United, in my opinion, in terms of being able to attract talent. But it's a difficult
Yeah.
job as well. I mean, I don't think that many people will be risking their career for this right now if they have a secure thing, you know?
That and for both Tuchel and Klopp, the whole thing is those guys are both granted, they've managed some big players, big egos before, both of them, but they're both still managers that very much have a system and philosophy that they want to impart on their team. And that's kind of what Xabi Alonso, granted, he's obviously had a much less long career than them. He's a younger manager. He's relatively early on into his career. That's something that he's struggled to impart slash make a mark with on this Real Madrid team. So that, those problems still remain, even if you bring those guys in. I guess Klopp, it might be a little different because he's still a very, very high quality man manager, but I don't know. I can't imagine Real Madrid gegenpressing anytime soon. So
Yeah, I mean, I
I
think
guess
they'd be happy with his style of play because that was again, yeah, as you said, one of the main gripes that they had with Xabi Alonso was that his play style wasn't very good. But I don't know. I mean, also, if I were Klopp and making 10 million a year at Red Bull to not even coach on a daily level, I mean, I'd probably stay and do that, you know. But
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm trying to think if there's any young emerging managers that could potentially come in, but I don't know. I mean, I think I still stand by this. I think Antonio Conte, I know I say him for everyone. I think Antonio Conte would be great at Real Madrid. Like, I think he would be really, really successful with them. I mean, he's a hell of a manager, and it seems like I want to get him out of Napoli, but I just think he's gonna leave Napoli at the end of this season. Like, I don't think there's much for him. I mean, if I can propose another Italian, again, I would say potentially Simone Inzaghi. Again, he's in Saudi right now. You probably get him out of Saudi to coach a team like Real Madrid. He has a pretty good track record with Inter in the Champions League, and he'd have significantly more resources at his disposal. But I don't know. I mean, can you think of anyone else that is a top candidate for that job?
No, those managers are all obviously incredible. Conte, I again just see issues with. I can see him getting into fights with the players is the problem, just based off of like personalities not mixing. I mean, Conte at Real Madrid would be kind of cool to see. Even I'm not even a Real Madrid fan, but that would be, you know, entertaining for sure. Um, but no, for the moment, I can't really see anyone as a permanent solution. I think they're just gonna have to keep looking.
I mean, I guess. That's a very short reaction to the situation with Xabi Alonso. I mean, I think obviously it's a developing situation. As the days, weeks pass, we'll find out more about the true reasons of this departure, whether it was more from the manager's side or more from the club side. It seems right now as it's more from the club side. And just one last thing I wanted to add, I did see that another reason was that Xabi Alonso's relationship with Vinny Jr. was apparently quite poor. And so, again, an example of this star power that they have at Real Madrid. He was subbed in the Clásico, not the one yesterday, but the one a couple months ago. And he took that quite poorly and kind of tried to turn the crowd against him. I'm personally not the biggest fan of Vinny Jr., but yeah, obviously you want to have someone like that on your side if you're the coach of Real Madrid.
Yeah. All right, guys, leave a comment, like, and subscribe, whether you agree with us, disagree with us, let us know. And yeah, if you have any other ideas for who you think might be the next person to take over the Real Madrid job, please drop your insights in the section below.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you.
Let us know who was going to coach Real Madrid, and let us know where Xabi Alonso is going next. We'd love to read your comments, and would be interested in getting your perspective on this. Thank you.